Hi, guys, and welcome to the 8th and final episode of Season 2. To end the season, I wanted to talk about something that is definitely having a huge impact, and that is robots. Now, living in America, you might not necessarily think of robots on a daily basis, but the reality is that we actually utilize robots in many sectors, and already they've started to make such a huge impact on our world. So, let's start out with a very simple question. What is a robot? So I have two definitions for what a robot is. And the first one is, it's a machine resembling a human being able to replicate certain human movements and functions. And the second definition is, a machine capable of carrying out a complex series of actions automatically, especially one programmable by a computer. Now, while these are the official definitions from what I've been able to find, it seems like what defines what a robot is relies on a clear set of capabilities or functions, like the ability to do some physical movement and also the ability to be programmed for multiple things and also to be guided by some sort of intelligence. So a better definition, or a slightly clearer definition of what a robot is, I think is expressed best by a post I found on Quora, and it states, and I quote, "A robot is a machine that interacts with its environment. And by interacts, I mean observes and manipulates, and change how it does that based on observing its environment." And so, as you can see by that definition, many smart devices that we use aren't what would be considered a robot. One reason I wanted to clarify the definition of what a robot is because in my opinion, the popular definitions were not very thorough. Another reason is I myself consider many things a robot without the understanding that a machine has to meet certain criteria in order to be a robot. So how do we get robots and how are they developed? So robots are a product of a field of study called robotics. And according to builtin.com, and I quote, "Robotics is the intersection of science, engineering, and technology that produces machines called robots," unquote. Many people think of robots appearing like or replicating the look of a human, but robot creation, at least at this current moment in time, is more about replicating human actions and increasing productivity levels, and also decreasing production costs. This is one of the major reasons why many of the functioning robots you can find working in US factories look nothing like humans, because as it pertains to the productivity levels, the human form isn't necessarily ideal for much of the work that needs to be done. When it comes to the development of artificial intelligence within robots, this is being used as an assistive tool, and the goal is really to keep it that way, no matter how advanced technology gets. While one day we might be able to build a robot that truly understands and experiences the world in the way that we do, because our top priority is the advancement of the human species, this outcome is possible but highly unlikely in its fullest form. Now that we have an understanding of what qualifies as a robot and know a little bit about the path of development for this technology, what are robots currently used for? To start off, the US isn't the only country utilizing robots. According to an updated 2017 study by the International Federation of Robotics and authors' calculations, America doesn't rank first, second, or third when it comes to the top countries that use robots. Actually, a handful of countries in East Asia are among the top users of robots. This information is important because there are many ways in which robots are being used that people in America have not been exposed to. For example, in China, robots are being used in restaurants as servers, and this was news in 2006. So they've been ahead of the curve for quite some time when it comes to interesting uses for robots. In the US, while you may or may not have seen them, we do have some robots that patrol parking garages and scan license plates, but they are few and far in between. Meanwhile, during the COVID pandemic, in Shenyang, patrol robots checked temperatures and disinfected areas. And in Wuhan, China, they were taking it one step further, creating a project led by Bill Huang that not only deployed robots that checked temperatures and cleaned, but also ones that checked vital signs and dispensed drugs. Like in the US, in China, most robots are used in work-related processes, but they are also branching out and developing robot toys, robot police, even robot grocery shoppers. And they might even be the first to create a robot that can actually be a companion as well as an assistant. In the US, fully functional robots in public spaces is still a bit taboo, as most robots are used for work or in home. I do feel this is more of a social thing, but at some point robots will be quite common, as their benefits really do outweigh many of the concerns that surround them. And that's just looking at it from an economic standpoint. So what's the future like with highly advanced robots? A future with robots will no doubt be an interesting one, with robots being accepted in all spaces of the US. Robots will not only help us to create new systems, but they'll also allow us to conduct our lives in a completely different way. Imagine living life on another planet, or even something slightly more tamed, like giving a fully paralyzed person their mobility back via a robotic surrogate body. These are all things that can and will definitely be achieved with robotics. So, picture a world where our daily agendas can be more in line with the vision of what our nation is truly supposed to be. A world that focuses on bringing us together by freeing us up from tasks that are simple. There will always be some form of hierarchy amongst humans, and also some concentration of power and knowledge. But there must also be some unity that surpasses race, tragic events, or times of need. And robots in some form or another can assist us in achieving this. We are not promised or guaranteed to be the only species within our universe. So when we inevitably find those others, or they find us, having robots of great capabilities could prove useful, even if we only use them as a mediator for communication. America is no slouch. We have many complex and interesting systems running in the backdrops of our seemingly plain country. But will it be enough to shift us in the right positions necessary for surviving in a future where robots, not people, autonomously regulate everything around us? Known as the Free Nation, one day America will have a new identity, and there's no doubt that robots will be at the forefront alongside humans, helping create, forge, and implement that new existence, so that it will be rooted in fact and reflect with no doubt that of which it makes claims to be. I just want to tell you that this was definitely one of the hardest seasons to get through. When you combine things like your life on top of being able to like record, edit, and then post and, making time for everything, it's something that's really quite a journey. But I will definitely say in its own way, it's kind of rewarding. I do enjoy it a little bit more than I thought I might. So I think originally what I was going to start off with was just kind of like advice on how to handle your tech in like different situations. I started to think like, well, if I am going to talk to people about stuff regarding like tech, I can pretty much just talk to them about like anything and everything that might even remotely be interesting. And so my view kind of like turned into, well, what happens after you get these tech devices? Like, what are you supposed to do with them then? Some people really need help with that stuff because you see how like a lot of people discard their tech devices and they really just don't take any regards, and they don't really think about where that stuff ends up or where it goes or how it affects the actual environment. In reality, it really just starts with like small changes in order to make like big changes. And so something like reusing your shipping package or just kind of like trying to use your tech device for as long as you could, if enough people do just those little things, then it comes out to be something like really big. All right, guys, so that's been another episode of Ecotech. See you guys in season 3.